Hi everyone, this is Dave with the John 17 Project. I'm doing this video a little late. Usually I post on Fridays. Things have been a little busy in life, so I'm posting this a little late. If you're new here, just obviously you don't know I've been posting late, but anyway, welcome. And I hope you like the videos. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell down there, all the things. Share, all that good stuff, comment, everything like that. And if this is you're returning, welcome back. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. So this week we are continuing our series on the road to unity, and particularly this section about the Protestant Reformation. That's where we are at in our basic timeline of divisions and major things that have gone on in the body of Christ in the past 2,000 years. So most of us know the basics. I had some videos and information, little articles on the last video in the description, which you can watch and read to get some basic understanding and overview of the Protestant Reformation. This week there's going to be some videos and stuff below that go deeper into some details that are very often missed and not talked about, because there's a tendency in the body of Christ, especially amongst Protestant believers, to sugarcoat the Reformation. Not a little bit, but a lot. Much like there's a sugarcoating of the Church Fathers and glossing over of things, and a sugarcoating and glossing over of much of the things that went on with the councils. I'm not saying everything with the councils was bad, or everything with all of the church fathers was bad, but there's some definite issues there, particularly when it comes to hatred of the Jewish people, persecution of the Jewish people, and separating out and just bringing that first original division of Jewish and Gentile believers. So I've gone over that in previous videos, so if you want to watch those, go back to some previous videos where I do discuss that. So last video I discussed what was leading up to the Reformation. We have things going on with the Renaissance. We have the printing press being invented by Gutenberg, which allows things like the 95 Thesis, which we're all aware of, the 95 Thesis of Martin Luther, his response to the selling of indulgences, nailed to the door of the church. Well, that was printed and distributed widely throughout the country, and of course the first Gutenberg Bibles were printed, and also Martin Luther translated the first Bibles in German. So a lot's going on in this time period. So some things do happen that are important to note. One of the things that happens is that Martin Luther is put on trial as a heretic for teaching the things that he's teaching, because he's teaching things that are from Scripture. And really, there was a lot of issues with the church having gone so awry and way off the rails against Scripture. And there's all the corruption and the selling of indulgence, which was kind of pilfering the poor, quite frankly. Now, Luther is put on trial for this, for his statements, and but thankfully, I think they're pretty much probably plotting to kill him. At least it seems that way from everything that I've read and seen, that was the general consensus. Sorry, I've got some military choppers going by. Nice big ones. But anyway, he was thankfully, there was a German prince that got, I think he was German. There was a prince that basically saved him. The whole thing about that is very political, because you have to understand that the church pretty much, the Roman Catholic Church was like, in the West, they approved and disapproved of kings. They had all the power. All of the power. They were the state and the church. Through the Reformation, a lot of leaders saw a way to use the Reformation in order to break apart, away from underneath the thumb of Rome, and could basically use the corruption of Rome and the Reformation in a way to do that. So a lot of this had to do with political power. Sad thing is that a lot of the ideas and things that Martin Luther was spreading, while they were valid points to be made, it caused a lot of people to start doing things like murdering their brothers and sisters in Christ, and burning down churches and smashing statues and burning icons and things of this sort. It got really bad, and so it ends up where you later have Calvin and his crew, Zwingli and his crew, Martin Luther and his beliefs, and everything starts splintering off even further. And it even goes to the point of all of the Protestant believers starting to war with each other as well. This is one of the horrific things that isn't talked about, because different princes and lords and different people started using all of these different ideas and different religious and theological streams to basically prop themselves up and take control over an area, and anyone they didn't like, they would try to fight against, execute, burn at the stake, what have you. There's a lot of that going on, and it lasted for quite a while. For, I would say, at least the next 100 years or so after the start of the Reformation. So there's a lot of death, a lot of war, a lot of further division in the body of Christ. It splintered very heavily and very quickly. The Catholic Church started getting its stuff together when some people raised the points that, many of the points that Martin Luther was making were valid, and there was the Council of Trent, which lasted 18 years, but started really reforming the Catholic Church. It was also known as the Catholic Reformation or the Counter-Reformation. But there was still a lot of bloodshed, division, and war amongst brothers. It saddens me because as I've learned about this stuff, the more I've learned, the more disgusted I get with Martin Luther and with Calvin specifically, those two. We're often propped up as these amazing men of the faith and amazing leaders in church history and church fathers, and we should look up to these guys. But the problem is they're very unrepentant in really justifying murdering their brothers and sisters. And they both ended up, Martin Luther, it took him a while, he ended up here, but Calvin for sure, I don't think he ever loved the Jewish people, but he definitely hated the Jewish people. And that's where Martin Luther ended up. In fact, much of Martin Luther's writings were used as validation for Hitler and the Third Reich and the Holocaust. So it honestly saddens me when I hear brothers and sisters singing praises of the Reformation like it's that great thing. The Reformation did a couple things that were good, that God used for good. One, it did help bring the Word of God out to people, and people start being able to read and get into Scripture. So there's some good that came out of that. Eventually, took a while, but eventually, because of the Reformation, the ideas spawned from that. Church and government were separated. It took a while, but it did eventually happen. And it did cause there to be a lot of corruption and evil dealt with. But I would say that's about it as far as good things from the Reformation. One of the issues with the Reformation is that there was this extreme reactionary attitude. Before the Council of Trent, and still to some extent afterwards, although I think there's sometimes a real mischaracterization and misunderstanding of this from our Catholic brothers and sisters, is that because there was salvation with works, and that was a lot of being pushed by the Roman Catholic Church, there's this reaction to basically go the so opposite way that you can never lose your salvation, which I do not hold to, that you once saved, always saved. That's not scriptural. And the idea that it went to the extreme of Calvinism, where God predestines everything and it's all deterministic, and you can do so absolutely nothing. You can't even have your own desires. That's a very extreme, where it's total works based on the other, and you can do absolutely nothing. You really aren't even thinking or feeling for yourself on the other end. It's basically total works based. You have to earn it, or you're a meat puppet on the other. Both of those extremes are wrong. While God is sovereign, God loves us, and love is the whole key. God wants us to love him back. He loved us first. But he's not going to force us to love him, because then it wouldn't be love. This is where theistic determinism completely falls apart, which is the underpinning of Calvinism. If we're forced to love God, then is that love? If we're forced to be obedient to God through his determinism, then is that obedience? If we're forced to accept it, is that acceptance? No, it ends up being cosmic Stockholm syndrome, basically. Love has to be a choice. God does everything he can. Well, he does everything except for make that choice for us. He's done everything else. He's not going to force us to choose him. He's going to be a respecter of persons. Let me back that up. I misspoke. He's going to be a respecter of our choices. To quote C.S. Lewis, there are only two kinds of people: those who say to God, your will be done, and those to whom God says, your will be done. So it's up to each of us to choose the Lord and walk in his ways. Be obedient to him as an natural after effect of that choice. But it's still a choice. Totally on us. So that's the reactionary. To quote somebody else I really like, A.W. Tozer, he said, and it relates very much to the reactionary part of the Reformation, said to avoid the error of salvation by works, we have made the opposite error of salvation without obedience. Many of the churches and many of the denominations, especially in the West, of course I'm speaking as somebody from the U.S., often basically teach, once you say the prayer and you're saved, you can pretty much do anything you want. That is very much an extreme. The other extreme is you have to do X, Y, and Z to be saved and earn your salvation through working for it. Both of those are incorrect. Salvation and a natural after effect of the choice that you have made to follow Christ is to be obedient to Christ. That's a natural after effect of a changed heart. And it takes time as you grow and you are sanctified and the Lord is transforming you to be more and more like him. Anyway, I'm sorry I started to preach a little bit there, and that's not really what this video is about, but I just had to address that because that's one of the big theological issues that came out of the Reformation that still sticks with us today. Now, how do we overcome much of this? I'll talk about that some more in my next video about the after effects of the Reformation. I know these videos are a little shorter this time than they have been. I usually go 20-30 minutes, making it a little shorter for this because I don't want to go on too long with one point. I want to let you kind of dive deeper into the topic yourself. Of course, I'll have some resources. There are videos this week. One of them deals with the the aspect of what towards the Jews, and then they also deal with the Reformation and the after effects itself. So, and they go into some really good detail. I don't want to get too much into that this time. I kind of wanted to just make a couple points about what happened during it and why it's important to know these things, because what has happened in much of the body is we prop up Martin Luther and Calvin on these pedestals. It's, for some, it's to the point of idolatry, quite frankly, or to, look at what Paul says in 1 Corinthians. Some say I follow Calvin, others say I follow Luther. It's that kind of thinking, and it's a real problem in the body of Christ. So I would encourage everyone to dig deeper into what happened during the Reformation and some of the horrific things of it, because you need to know this history to really understand it. Not to throw out everything that was good, but it's very important to know what history came before us and what's been taught and been handed down. Because when we come into the faith, we're dealing with a lot of this baggage from before. And if it's not talked about openly, the problems with it, then how are we supposed to deal with it properly? And how are we supposed to overcome it, to come together in unity and to love one another if we don't understand a lot of these issues? So I'm just going to leave it there for this week. A little bit shorter than usual. But please like, subscribe, share, all those good things, comment. I'll probably be late on my next video again because of Passover this week and celebrating the Lord's resurrection. So, yeah, that's going to be it. This is David with the John 17 Project. I hope everyone has a good week. Happy Passover, and I'll see y'all later.